Welcome everyone, and apologies for the late broadcast. We had some technical issues. Welcome to another edition of the Bread for Soul Convos. This is episode 29, and on today's episode, I've got DJ SBU on the other line, founder and owner of Massive Metro, founding partner of More Fire, and founder of the Spusisoli Ope Education Foundation, Leadership 2020, best-selling author, and we know DJ Spoo's accolades, guys. But I'm honored to be having the legendary DJ Spoo on the Bread for Soul sessions. And if I may, if I may just start by saying, oi oi,
Shapo Jwang Meauti.
ke shapo braga fede.
I'm blessed, my brother. Thank you very much for the invite.
No, go leboganna braga, go leboganna.
Yeah, sure.
If o ka tsholetsa your laptop ganyane so e o khata mo dimo e.
Oh, yang kata ne?
Yeah, just a bit like.
Oh, in kata modim.
Yeah. If you can.
You want me to do this?
Yeah, perfect. 100%.
Okay.
All
right. Sure.
Anyway, so before the start, I've got what I call the question of the day to people, because DJ SBU is big on local brands. I want to ask people, and guys, you can comment, answer in the comment section. This is the question of the day. What is your favorite South African brand? Let us know, what is your favorite South African brand? And let's get on with the show. So, Sbuda, you've had, you handed over 30 demos, to radio, and before you were even a runner-up on the talent show, and you did a graveyard show for 2 years without getting paid, Go FM. And I want to know, like, were you already working for Telkom by the time you were doing this free show?
It's not a free show.
No, but you weren't getting paid. It's free for you.
Morning, everyone, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate the opportunity of speaking to Sir LSG. I think the reason why I say it's not a free show, there's nothing for free. As much as I was doing a show I wasn't getting paid for, I was getting value by being around people that were starting to become influential in the country. There was a youth station that was buzzing with culture. It was buzzing with, groundbreaking music, groundbreaking style of radio that was unheard of before. There were no ads at the time. You need to remember, even now, when you're watching YouTube, you get irritated when you watch ads. Same as back in the days, there was no internet, that was worse. So now imagine listening to radio with no ads, just music. Just the way things are now, like how you can just stream and listen to your mixes and your favorite music. So that's what YFM brought in to the culture in Johannesburg. So it was a buzzing scene, and anyone wanted to be around that type of an environment. So I'd say it was a trade. It was a trade, because that's what I got. I got the access of being around those guys, of seeing celebrities, seeing people, the musicians, etc. So at the same time, Nekiso, you see, I was at Telkom while using my Telkom lunchtime, which was an hour, to go then do whatever I had to do, whatever I had to hustle, or whatever CVs I had to put together, whatever I had to put together, I'd do in that hour, middle of the day. So during the week, I didn't have time. I only had that 1 hour, which was lunchtime between 1 and 2. I think it was 12 and 1, yeah. And when things started getting better at YFM by me getting accepted or becoming a runner-up of a talent search competition and winning 10,000 rands and getting a graveyard slot at Y, only then I resigned at Telkom. So it sort of crossed, so I sort of, when they say, King, I don't know if you watch the Tarzan movies, when they say, so I didn't leave the other branch or leave without having held on to the next one. And I was sure for it holding. But it's just that the next one was an opportunity that I wanted so bad, but it did not have to pay me. So there was no salary attached to it, only the 10,000 rands that I was winning. And then afterwards, I would have to risk for myself. So that was the situation with YFM and Telkom.
That is so powerful, because right now, a lot of us, a lot of young people find themselves, myself included, we find ourselves conflicted between following your passion and doing that job that will pay the bills, that will pay the rent and bring some food onto the table. And I think it's such an important thing that you mentioned, that before letting go of this one, you had to at least have a chance. You've got something that you're holding on to, and I love that so much, brother. But I want us to get into more fire, and not really more fire, but like your style of selling. I love seeing the videos that you do online, and like, bruh, like you've got no shame whatsoever. Wa tsena mo training, wa tsena mo busing, and you can do it wearing a suit, you can do it wearing a track suit, like what tsena, and the way you sell and the way you move, the speed at which you move your product. Have you always had, is it something that you were naturally born with to become a seller, or some of these things, things that can be cultivated, meaning that somebody can grow and learn into them?
Yes, give me somebody who's shy, somebody who can't speak to people, somebody who who's got abantu bazotsini syndrome. Bring them to the Hustlers Academy.
That's me. I
And
need
then
to
I'll
join.
give
I
them
need to
to a
join.
guy called Makalo, or I'll give them to a guy called Kabelo, or I'll give them to a guy called Katie or Khomza, or I'll give them to a lady called Refilo, or any one of the ladies who are trainers at the Hustlers Academy. They'll turn you and a person who's shy into somebody who's outspoken, who can present themselves in a room, who can speak to clients. But that takes a lot of training, and the training is not easy. The training is part of theory work at the Hustlers Academy in the morning for about an hour to 2 hours, motivating you, dealing with your psychological being, who you are, where you want to go. They ask you those type of questions, they get into your mind, and they sort of train you. They get you and they'll get you into a certain system that they'll present to you, which is a sales and marketing manual. Once they train you with that, they'll take you to the field to go meet clients and speak to them. Now, the reason why I formed that model called the Hustlers Academy is because that's the exact same model I came across when I was 17 years old, through a Sowetan newspaper. There used to be something at the back of the newspaper called the Classifieds. The Classifieds would be what I do right now on Saturdays, where I say entrepreneurs can use the hashtag DJSBU to advertise their businesses. Sort of the yellow pages of businesses back in the day when I was a youth. So the classified newspaper had Sowetan newspaper on the classified section had an ad that said, sales and marketing, hard work, willing to earn anything between 4,000 to 6,000 rands a month, call this number. I went to GP's Town, which is now known as the Maboneng, 246 Fox Street. Is it 286 Fox Street? Yeah, 286 Fox Street, right in the middle of just where there is where they have comedies and where there is also Pata Pata, that building. It used to be just a blank, empty warehouse. So we'd go there in the morning, learn how to sell, go out to the fields, they'd give us stock, would come back at the end of the day, reconcile. It was literally selling. So I would say that I didn't grow up with the skill, but it so happened that there was a spaza shop. And I always had to have these little different ideas of taking and I'd have them in my school bag and I'd sell them during lunch break at school. But the selling did not stop there. Little did I know that later on, when I became 17, I'd come across an opportunity when schools were closed for me to go make extra cash, just like a lot of you guys now who want to go make extra cash and you're looking for opportunities online. For us back in the days, there was no internet. So the only place that you could go to was a newspaper to look at opportunities, get into a taxi, go to town. And then when I got into that building, I was employed. They taught me how to be more vocal, how to speak to people. They pumped me up. They taught me the 5 steps to a sale, the 8 steps to success. They literally brainwashed me into believing in myself, believing that I can sell, and all the different methods that have to do with selling. But they turned me into that boy who was sort of shy, but who was not so shy because but they turned me into what I became. And I'd say little did people in the entertainment industry know that behind all of those albums that you saw me on, Friends Like These that you saw me on, and all those things, I think I won them, or I participated, or I did well in that industry in entertainment because I sort of had a sales and marketing background, and mine wasn't easy. Mine was literally selling every day, go to parking lots, go to training, selling, go to shopping centers, go to kerekeng, go to companying, people telling you no hawkers. When you go to companies, certain companies, you see the no hawkers sticker. I always joke and say, I'm the reason why there is that no hawkers sign in every building in Johannesburg.
Sure.
Because I literally went into every building. I know the entire Joburg like the back of my hand. And what I'm trying to convey is you can learn that skill if you are a young person. It's a powerful skill to learn because even if you are down and out or you lose money or you're unemployed, you can be able to feed yourself because you can be able to approach people, you can speak to people, you can sell to people, you can close, which means you can make money. So now what I've done is I've used those skills to build a career for myself. While building a career for myself, I recognize that the career was in the public eye, what a lot of you guys are fighting for now, which is clout. Back in those days, there was no social media or some forms of calculating the clout that you had. So, when my career came with clout, I used that clout to build businesses, in turn into brands, and help artists into becoming successful musicians and in turn into brands, which is the same skill I'm still practicing today on a higher level.
I love this because it just shows that anything can be learned. If you do have the determination, it doesn't matter what you think you are right now. You could become something else, just by learning and by having the ability to be open enough to be a student. I want to get into, because you spoke about artists, because this is an informative show and a lot of people who are watching this show are aspiring musicians. I have to ask this about marketing and selling music, because you've done it with Mzeke, which you haven't really told us. Who is it, you or what? But anyway,
no, it's not me. It's a guy called Zakhele Nkumane from Etembisa.
Okay.
And it was great having had to I've never visited the story of Mzeke to talk about it, but I'm literally putting it aside for a later day, for one day, so that I can tell that story and unpack it. But it's a guy that we worked with from Go Tembisa Lamlamba, and this is a legend that everybody always thinks or says it's me, which I don't have a problem with.
Sure.
Because he's had a successful career, so I don't mind being associated with him.
Definitely, he's definitely had a successful career. But the point that I wanted to get to, you've sold, those records. You've sold for the late great Brown Dash. You've also done it with the Violence compilations. You're about to do it now with Mpambani and the upcoming album. But I want to know, how did you actually do it with Zahara? How did you sell gold in 24 hours and platinum in a few days?
I'll throw in a plug there. This is Umhlonyane. It's sold by a guy called Lebu sells Umhlonyane for 50 rand. Umhlonyane, you guys would know, it's Artemisia.
Lingana.
Yeah, I'm just protecting any type of flu that may come my way. I think let me put it this way. Recognizing talent is a skill that I have. And, just like when you look at the Jay-Z and Damon Dash relationship, if you were to take that analogy, I was the Jay-Z of the relationship because we owned a record label and I was the face of the record label. I was the star. I was dropping multi-platinum hits. I was on TV, radio, and all of that stuff. And my business partner was TK, the Dame Dash in the equation. Behind the scenes guy, business guy, shrewd, closes deals. Every time when we're in meetings, I was like a fly on the wall who was just listening and sponging in every sort of tactics and strategies and ways in how he negotiated for his artists. And I so happened to be his biggest artist, but I so happened to be smart enough to say, TK, instead of you being my manager and I pay you 20% or 25%, how about if I pay you 50%? And we go 50-50, we own a company together. Because at the time, I didn't know how to run a company. I didn't understand the industry. So I had to lock him in, because usually managers will do well with you and they'll find a better artist. Maybe they move on from you. So I had to lock this guy in longer. And I benefited in that way. And when it comes to the Zahara situation, I always look at when Damon Dash, I follow him on social media, is Dasco Poppington on Instagram. He tells the story of how, especially even a guy called Beanie Siegel, I think he was a silent partner in Rockefeller. You take that analogy, you apply it to TS Records, what we did myself and TK in South Africa. It's the same thing. I didn't just like Jay-Z didn't discover the talent of Kanye in the beginning, or the greatness of Kanye in the beginning. Damon Dash and Biggs, Kareem Bigsberg, right?
Yes.
Did. Both of them did. It was the same. TK discovered Zahara. I didn't. I so happened to be the biggest artist at TS Records at the time. And it was around 2020, around beginning of 2010. Yeah, it was around 2010 World Cup. We were busy with a fan parks. Me and TK's company, we were doing fan parks for the World Cup, and we were sort of diversifying from just running the record label. And then he was doing some work in the Eastern Cape, and it so happened that he was at this restaurant having dinner in the evening, at the end of the day, having meetings and whatever. At the end, he's watching this poetry type of a session, and they keep exchanging. And then this lady comes on, and every time, whenever they would win, the person who wins this week is the one who headlines the following week. Kanjalo, kanjalo. It was like a cipher, but and some of them were poets, you know. I'm a vocalist, I'm a poet. You know, restaurants like that where they've got a live band playing while people are eating.
Yeah.
It was that type of setup. That's how TK discovered Zahara. He brought it over to Gauteng. Nhlanhla at the time from Mafigizolo, who was TK's wife. Unfortunately, some of you guys do know that it's in the public. Unfortunately, they were no longer together, but at the time they were married. And so TK introduced Zahara. At the time, she used to go by the name of Spinach, her real name being Ubulelani. So TK introduced her to his wife, and she believed in her. Nhlanhla actually is the one who mentored Zahara. Nhlanhla was a big star. When she went out on the road, she was with Zahara. She showed her mic techniques, how to deal with the fans, how to become a star, how to style yourself as an artist, how to project your voice, and all the different things that came with becoming a fully fledged musician and an artist. Throughout that time, her being a backing vocalist for Nhlanhla, we were in studio recording my album at the time, and we were also simultaneously recording Zahara's album. Little did we know that when we release Zahara, eventually she's going to blow up. We introduced her into the scene with my single called Lengoma, which became big. And a lot of people, obviously, they knew DJ Smooth, and they were like, DJ Smooth's back, DJ Smooth's back. Just like a lot of people would say now, like he's back now with Mpambana, new track, something like that. But at the time, it was at a bigger scale. You know, I was this big star in entertainment, and I had not released music in a while. And then I came, and then it became a big hit. But a lot of people were interested in the voice. Who is the lady in the voice singing on Lengo? That so happened to be Zahara. We brainstormed, we put together a plan to come up with a brand for her in the office. I remember our offices were still in Auckland Park, just next to the SABC. That's where TS Records used to be. And I came up, for some reason, I'm the one that came up with the name Zahara. TK, with the team at the office at the time, they'll tell you, there was a lot of us in the office. We all put in names in a basket. We all wrote names. And we all had to explain what those names meant. And then they took those names out. And then TK had a strategy in his head to put together to take Zahara to the market. And then she became Zahara. Little did we know that when we released my song, it was going to be so big that people wanted to know the artist singing on the single. Then when we came with Lolile became, I'd call it an instant hit in what the public would call it. But behind the scenes, she had been putting in work all of her life. She had been singing everywhere. She had been proving herself in the Eastern Cape until TK met her. She had an amazing story of this girl who really wanted to make it. And eventually, when TK met her, introduced her to Nhlanhla, when she was mentored by Nhlanhla, the Mafigizolo, one of the lead vocalists, and mentored her. And she came out through DJ Smooth. So she was already associated with Stars, and our label at the Stars, at the time, our independent label was known for superstars and creating stars. But there was drought in the music industry, and the industry was going through evolution where we were migrating from analog to digital. At the time, we were migrating from physical sales into the digital era. Physical sales were not selling anymore. But when she came out, we were also shocked that she blew up. But to tell you the truth, even with our marketing plan, we didn't start in Joburg. We started in Mpumalanga, we went to the KZN, we went to the Eastern Cape, we went to Free State, we went to Northwest. We went outside of Joburg in the provinces, selling Zahara to music compilers to DJs to different radio stations, getting her to sing in different churches, in different malls, shopping malls, into different universities, introducing her to the crowds, and we're obviously using DJ Smooth, who was known at the time, to introduce this amazing young talented girl. But our strategy ended up in Joburg. So when she hit the Joburg radio stations and she got airplay, it sort of felt like she was an instant hit. But we actually had been pushing Zahara even prior to the 3 months plan that we had going around the country. She had already been through touring with Untlanhla. So there was a lot of work that was put behind what people saw as the overnight success. And I'm glad and proud that she's still doing well till today, you know. And she embodies a story that I think a lot of you guys who are young out there can learn from, to say that you can believe in your dreams. It doesn't matter where you come from. Your talents can take you places. It's just up to you. How do you uphold when you get those blessings, and how do you multiply them from then on, based on your behavior, how you treat people, how you grow your brand even bigger, etc. Unfortunately, we no longer work together, but we are still sister and brother. And I am also aware of the controversies that have been out there in the media. I think a lot of people are not aware of some of the things that happened with our relationship with Zahara. I think we did great things together. I think we made history together. And at the same time, I'm really, really proud of what she's been able to do with her life. I can only continue to pray for her future, and for everybody else that I mentor and everybody that I've helped in the past. And I'm really, really proud. I don't have anything negative to say about Zahara, only positive things to say about everybody or anybody that I've ever worked with and that I've helped become successful, because in some sort of way they've also helped me continue to thrive, you know.
I love that, brother. And especially, 2 points that you mentioned. One being that regardless of where you are, if you're working hard and if you do work on your craft, guys, whoever is watching there, it doesn't really matter yet who comes to you, if you are getting those chances or not, because the time will come, and you want to find yourself ready when you are granted the opportunity, or somebody comes through to you and say, hey, come on, here's a platform. You don't want to now find yourself before you actually get an opportunity, because when the opportunity comes, you don't want to be not ready for it. And secondly, I think it's important that as artists, we also realize how broad our country is, because I've realized that a lot of us musicians will complain about not being played on the major radio stations, but we don't realize that there's stations, online stations like Massive Metro, and there's other regional stations in different provinces. There's a whole pool of stations that you can go to those stations, and most probably, if your product is good, you will get played and you will find less resistance than you would at major stations. So that's just another point that we can take as aspiring musicians, as aspiring artists. And Spoo, brother, I want to play
I totally agree.
Sure.
I'm sorry to come in there. By the way, for anybody that might be tuning in from my page, I'm with Sir LSG. You can follow him on his social media. It's at Sir LSG. That's SIR LSG, Sir LSG. I want to come in there and say, being in the music industry, I also follow currently what's going on with the young guys, and also with the different genres in the game. I watch the careers of Nasty C. I watched Nasty C come up. I watch him when he was with Mabala Noise. When he became independent, look at him where he is today. And then you've got other artists like A Reese. A Reese, I don't think he's somebody who is signed anywhere. For me, he looks to me like an independent artist. But if you look at the following that he has, based on how he gets his brand out there, he's very smart. He gets his brand out there through his talent, through his music. You won't see a lot about him on social media. You won't hear him on most interviews, but you'll hear a lot from him through his music. And that's a smart way. And if you look at the following that he has and the fan base that he's been able to create, I don't think he came out as somebody who was signed and all of a sudden he was played on radio. I think when I was interviewing a brother called PH, I don't know if you know PH, he's a producer.
Yeah, I had him on the show actually a couple of weeks
ago. Oh yeah.
Ago.
I'm sure he's told you of the story of how he met and he discovered his, I don't like using that word, but discovered A Reese.
Okay.
And as a producer, introducing A Reese, I stand to be corrected, but that's what that's what came out in the interview, that, he worked with this youngster and he happened to be A Reese. And obviously because he was sort of surrounded with all these other guys, and you sort of opened doors for him in some sort of way. But look at where Aries is today. Even if it doesn't have that commercial success that other people might have, or maybe an Narcissi can have, he eventually will get that type of success, even the accolades and the monies and everything else that comes with it. Why? Because he's delivering a great product, and he is consistent with what he's building, which is his fan base, and it will eventually pay him a lot of money. And I don't think he's somebody who came through mainstream media. So even if mainstream media doesn't give you support, even if they don't play you on the radio, there's lots of different platforms right now where you can create your own cloud, create your own platforms, have your own podcast, get your music out there, shoot your own videos, use all these different platforms to distribute your music. You don't even have to be signed. You can be an independent artist and still thrive. But it does come with some sort of cost. It comes with a lot of cost from your energy, your time, your efforts, your emotions. You have to be really invested in seeing yourself succeed, researching, spending time speaking to other artists. Just like now, me and LSG, we're discussing other issues that are not only just music related, but we are both musicians in some sort of way. You know what I mean? Like, so wanting to know more about your art and expanding yourself and being in that space where you're interacting with others who are within your space and just fully engulfing yourself in that space. I guess that's how you get to grow, and you slowly build a fan base for yourself if you've got a good quality product. And it's the same with anything. I can even make an example with Mofire. You guys know what's going on with the brand now. It's going through an evolution. It's growing. With my book, now I can announce and say, hey, get it on audible.com, get it on YouTube, the audio version, or get it at CNA or exclusive books. But it wasn't always the case. In the beginning, they refused at CNA to have my first book. This was my first book. This was back in 2013. CNA said no, and exclusive books said no. But we didn't stop and rely on complaining with, CNA, and we're creating a hashtag. There was no creating a hashtag of complaining. The hashtag that we created said, hashtag drop that book. Go to Twitter right now and go look for the hashtag drop that book. We created hashtag drop that book, and then we went and sold this book in every shebeen that DJ Spoo was playing at. We were selling the same way we are selling Mofire today. That's exactly what we did with this book. That was my first book.
Sure.
And then we started telling people that whenever they are in any mall, they must go and harass CNA, and I was still on TV and on Metro FM at the time. Imagine. They must go harass CNA. They must, well, not harass negatively, but they must go to CNA. They must go to exclusive and any bookstore and demand this book and demand that they get this book. And guess what? One morning I wake up and there was an email from CNA. And there was an email the other day from exclusive books, and the rest is history. So tenacity, guys. Tenacity, building your own cloud, using the little that you have or the nothing that you don't have to create the little that you have. It's a snowball effect, this thing. But you have to believe in it. You have to be so invested in it, your time, your energy, your money, your everything. That's why we say passion, so that it does not bore you. When it's not a passion, then when it's boring, you are leaving it. But if it's your passion, even if it does not have money, but because you love it, you're not bored doing this thing. Nobody's paying you, but you keep doing it. Eventually does yield success. Success might come in 3 years, 5 years. It does take time, but ultimately it's a law of attraction, you know?
For sure. I love that so much, bro, because it's so profound. It also explains where I am currently, you know. I've been working, this show, yes, this is the 28th episode, and we started during this lockdown. But I've had this idea, and I've shot this idea and proposed it to other people and TV companies, you know, in the past 2 years ago already. And none of them were interested because, like, it's not a cool thing. It doesn't look nice. It's boring, whatever. But I believe so much in it now because my mindset has shifted, because I realized...
man, you've got DJ Spoo.
Exactly, come on.
The other day you were having Kanyane. I think the other day you had Monique Bingham. It's gone already.
It's gone.
And that's what it is. And you just have to keep getting at it. And it'll just keep growing because you are so smart enough to even cross-post with us. So now some of the people that follow my Facebook, they are being cross-promoted into your page, and they're being introduced to who you are. Then they start getting introduced into your music and other things that you're doing. So those are all the different tricks that you are using to grow your platform. And that's exactly what I'm advising other youngsters to do, you know?
Sure, thank you. And I will take this opportunity to promote something else. There's a concert.
Go right ahead, bro.
There's a concert that we did at KFM. This is in 2017. And I don't know do you know of a singer called Ayanda Chia?
Yeah, no, I know Ayanda Chia,
Cool,
sure.
great, great. I featured her on a song, and this is a performance. I'm gonna play 1 minute of it or a few seconds,
Go right ahead,
and
yeah.
then we'll come back.
I got my head up in the sky, I fly so high. And as I go, I watch my troubles pass me by. What a wonder it is, I feel the joy in me. I'm stronger than I was before. Nothing's gonna bring me down for sure. And that's the magical part of me. And that's the magical part of me.
Yeah, guys. So, guys, if you saw that, this is a performance that we did in 2017, but on the 16th of June this year, on the Tuesday, 2 weeks from now, we will be performing. We will stream the full concert live. It's gonna be on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter at the same time at 8 o'clock. This is the Moving Circles live concert featuring Zano, Ayanda Gia, Tandin Tuli, Sonia Simskula from the Muffins, and my boy Nkuleleko Tertius. So yeah, I just wanted to get through to that. And I don't know, what do you think of this song?
No, that's dope, my man. Obviously, would like to listen to it more. I haven't heard it.
Cool.
So it's Sir LSG featuring Ayanda Gia and
Yeah.
who?
Ayanda Gia alone. It's called Fly Away. But I'll actually send you the link to my album. It's called Moving
Oh
Circles.
yeah, let me listen to the whole album, man.
For sure, for sure. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, my brother. I wanted to now get to more fire. You say that the greater the obstacle, the more glory in achieving it. And I've seen you and your team do it. Like we've seen how you push the brand, but I want to know at the moment, where is the brand? Where is more fire with regards to your vision?
For me, I was saying the other day, I was talking about Mbambane, and my guys were saying, shoot the video, let's get the video out. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, but everybody's in the houses now, they're consuming music, it's doing well on radio, blah. I'm like, whoa. I'm gonna push the song. I'm gonna go recreate new relationships on the ground. I'm gonna go speak to new music compilers, create new relationships on the ground. I'm not just gonna email stuff, sit from home, and just only work from home. I haven't been doing the hustling the music game in a while, and I have to go humble myself and go speak to these guys, create new relationships. Know that when I've got a list of DJs to send to, or music compilers to send to, or mixed radio shows to send to, who do I send? So I don't only just want to get a list or just hire a company. I want to create my own database. I want to go speak to, when I left the music industry to go pursue business in 2013, those people that I knew then, it's not the people that I know now. So I have to go back and humble myself and go speak to the ordinary guy that a lot of guys just only email to, or the superstars or the celebrities or the big artists only just send music to. Me now, I want to go to every radio station, I want to go to every community station, I want to speak to mixed DJs, on-air DJs, breakfast DJs, drive DJs, creating a new level of create a new database so that when I'm calling or when I'm emailing from my house or from the office, it's easy for them to know Gutu Prasbu humble themselves enough to come and speak to us as guys who are just here, to come and introduce himself, to say he's coming back into the game. He'd like to get our support. That is exactly what I'm still doing with More Fire. And when at the beginning of this answer, when I was making an example of, whoa, me saying, whoa, 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 let's not hurry with the single. I don't look at my life as now, I want to be on the top of the charts. I'm in the music industry, I'm competing. I'm not competing at all. My life has been played out in my head. I'm going to live until I'm 100. I'm inspired by the late great Ntate Maponi. I'm inspired by the late great Ntate Mandela. And when you are that age, people look at your legacy, the life that you've led. So people look at your life in decades. People look at your life in projects. And the other day I was speaking about full bodies of work. So I'm working on a full body of work, which is an album. You have an album. You introduce me to your song, and then that song you are now then introducing me into an album. That's a full body of work. One day, unfortunately, when you pass on, one day when you're also old, when you're 100, your kids and your great grandkids will be speaking about your album in a part of your biography, as a part of your biography. What do they say? What do they call it?
Obituary.
At a funeral. Okay, let's not dwell on that, but you know what it is, obituary. Whatever it is, it'll be a part of that. So that's how we're building the business. We think long term. MoFi happens to be one of the businesses that I started, and I've had to do what I'm doing. And initially, it wasn't intentional to go out there and become these geniuses who just came from nothing, who created this company from the streets. It's now growing into becoming whatever. What we were thrown into that space because corporate South Africa couldn't have those brands, the same struggles that we had with having this into the CNAs and the exclusive books is the same thing, or the same struggle we had when we were trying to get MoFi into those shelves. But the same hunger, the same authenticity, and the same drive that we had to get our book eventually into these shelves was the same story that happened with MoFi. So because it's a company, it's not an overnight success. Some of you guys know how big South Africa is. Politicians will tell you when they're campaigning. For you to get to the corners of Limpopo, for you to get to the corners of Uppington, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, it's a big country. Even if other established brands can launch a product now and a month later, it's already everywhere, the whole country. The launch happened while they were already still distributing, but they also have had to work hard to build a logistics platform, a distribution network, etc., for their products to be able to get to market at a certain time. Tina, unfortunately, it had to be a struggle, but that struggle our pain turned out to become our story. And the story is the one that is opening doors for us, where people are looking at us as these amazing, resilient entrepreneurs. We're still going through that journey, but the journey is long term. But what I've been able to do with the brand, using my career again as an example, or using the clout that my career has, is to carry the MoFi as a story to then inspire the other guys who are starting their own MoFis. Their own MoFis can be Ibatu. It can be Uthio from Alexandra studying a brand called Ibatu, looking at MoFi and he's inspired. It can be a guy called Utepo and he's got ideas of starting his own brand called Tepo the Gene Maker. He's looking at MoFi, he is inspired. It can be Bulelani wanting to start his own Leadership 2020, and then he starts his own brand called Township Entrepreneurs Alliance by coming and working at Leadership 2020 and being mentored by us to go start his own thing. Do you know what I mean? So I've then decided to then open up and let the public see the story as it evolves and as it grows. That's where the business is. I can't say we're succeeding, we're not succeeding, we're failing, we're not failing, we're making money, we're not making money. How do I complain when our company is selling millions of units every month when somebody else doesn't have a plate on the table? Yes, right now it's tough. We're fighting to not lose employees. We employ hundreds and hundreds of people now. The company is growing. I was on a roll. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been seeing me closing deals, signing up wholesalers, signing up new clients all over the country, because that's the model that we could have went with initially, but we didn't know. Us from the beginning, we wanted to be at CNA. We wanted to be at Pick and Pay and at ShopRite Checkers and Spar and all these prestigious places, but we didn't understand the dynamics of retail and wholesale and cash and carries in South Africa. Our brothers and sisters of the Indian descent who pretty much run the wholesale and cash and carry space, who have been so kind enough to us to have our product into their platform. And those are the people that there's other shops from Eblokshini buy from, and those are the people that follow my work. And majority of those people are the people that would know about MoFi because of the work that I've done and people who follow my work. And I always say I'm not a suburban person, and my audience is down there, and the people that follow my work are people about Paza shop. Yes, I do know, but I've got people about Emma Pick and Pay and Sema shop, right? But I would love to build grassroots strength first. I want my brand and product to be loved by the people. People need to look at the brand and interact with it on a daily basis, so much so that they believe in it. And in that way, for me, I've built a long-lasting legacy in South Africans' minds. I always say the can represents possibility. You know, it says you can do it too as a black child, whatever your dream is. And wherever I'm going to be one day, and when people watch me or they read my financial mail, about business day and whatever, about my businesses and my growth in the future. Wherever they are, they'll be able to still go to a street corner and purchase more fire
Sure.
and be like, "Le groot man, uqale la, kule straat, ayithengisa la kule straat."
Sure.
And it'll forever mean something to our young South Africans. And I think that's what the story of More Fire has become.
Sure.
And I would like to urge and encourage every South African as well out there. And I do know when I answer your questions, I always take a long try so that I can give you as much content as you need.
Sure.
As far as that issue is concerned. Focusing on the issue of side hustles and building businesses, I don't want to be that guy who says ngichelile. I don't want to be that guy who says but I want to be that bigger brother who says, I'm sure, guys, you can see now why I've been telling you what I've been telling you. In the beginning, people laughed at me. In the beginning, I was a laughing stock to a lot of people. But I think now people seeing at the success of what I've been able to build or what we are currently building, which is all these things that I'm involved with. I think people are inspired. And especially with what we are going through right now, I think people are even more inspired to not just be employed only anymore, to start that side hustle, to start that business, and to create wealth as Black people. Because, you know, so LSG, in fact, the only way we can get out of the mess that we're in as Black people, or the only way we can achieve financial independence, or let me say economic freedom in our lifetime, it's just us. It's no longer with white people. I believe a lot of our politicians are so compromised because of the deals that were done, unfortunately, I believe, with white supremacy from Dala. That's why when you look at government and the big contracts, those big contracts all go to those big white companies. And when you look at the smaller guy who's Black, he's not able to play on that level. So you have to start on the ground and build from nothing. And that's a journey to build that. So you don't look at the success while the game is still on. The game is still on, but Chiefs 0, Pirates 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can look at the score that way, but you can't say because your company is doing well and it's growing, hey, we're making money and we are great and we're all these millionaires. But you can only be humble to say you want to appreciate all of the people that put together the product from the factory. You want to appreciate the people that buy it in street corners every day. You want to appreciate the security guards who are going to work. You know, those are the people that buy my brand. I sell millions of units every month. Anything between 1 million to 3 million units. You know, it obviously fluctuates. Now it's obviously even less than 1 million. We're not doing well at all. Every company is losing money. I'm one of those people. Every business owner is feeling the pain of owning a business because you also don't want to let go of the staff. So you can't really judge and say the business is doing well or it's not doing well. But as I did say at the beginning of this answer, the end goal in mind is that I'm already 100-year-old old man who's got great grandkids and many grandkids, and I've got multiple businesses under my investment company, under my family estate. And MoFi happens to be one of those companies that I started from the streets. And right now, in my timeline, in my head, as a 100-year-old man who is Dr. Leope somewhere, MoFi is a global brand. And it's a pride of Africa. And as I have always called it, the African Coca-Cola. So that's how I look at things. I look at the end in mind, and I always visualize the end as I hustle towards it. I look at my life backwards, and MoFi happens to be one of those bodies of work that I've put together, just like what I've done with TS Records. And under TS Records, I've got projects that I've worked on. I can brag about. I can say DJ Spoo, Mina Ezo Spusiselo happens to be a project I worked on. Zaga Zaga happens to be a project I contributed and I worked on with a team of people, not alone. And there's so many to mention. And obviously with my business partner leading the spear at the time with TK behind the scenes, me being the guy who's on the front of the cameras as business partners. I was playing the same role at TS Records to help build all these amazing artists that I was blessed to have worked with. It's basically the same thing that I'm doing right now. The only difference is that I'm using my same cloud to now build businesses and brands instead of building just artists. Other people invest because they've got the money too, which is a smart way of doing it, working smart. But there's other people like me who don't have big capital or big funders behind me. I have to start things from scratch, and I have to convince people to eventually invest in what I'm building and eventually get the right people that I think can take this dream or this vision to where I want it to go. Because I'm not trained at a business school to be able to do that. I just so happen to be Ndwana Sekasi, who has happened to be a DJ and a producer, who's happened to be smart enough to know his worth in the industry, and who's smart enough to be creative in communicating with South African artists, who's now using his talent to then communicate his brands towards the people. And I think what I like about what we're doing is that we don't just sell people nonsense. We don't sell people nonsense at all. We believe in the quality of our product, but at the same time, we believe in giving back. I think that's why people know from when my career started, I've always been running an education foundation. So when you're supporting somebody like that or a company like that, I think you know that you are supporting yourself back, because people know of our consistent giving back initiatives. So people know that it's engraved and it's embedded in our ethos and in our DNA to give back to them. So they're supporting people or a company that gives back to them. And I represent many others. Others might not be on camera, but they're doing it in their own small circles. Others are working with government. They're doing tenders. Others are entrepreneurs running businesses that they created. They're not in the spotlight. They wouldn't even want to be in the spotlight. They do great work and they serve their communities. You know, everybody in any small business out there who has got an ethos of wanting to empower their community and giving jobs out there, I believe all those Black businesses should be empowered by the government. It's just sad that unfortunately right now, I don't feel our government is doing enough, especially for small businesses. And it's not because they haven't funded me. I think they're trying, but I think they could be doing better. You know what I mean? So it's up to you and I to help the government instead of complaining and criticizing them. And it's up to you and I to show them that it can also happen alongside them. Eventually, Pambili bazokuthola endleleni, and then maybe they'll help you.
Sure.
I'm not going to complain and say government didn't help me, I didn't get any funders. Probably I will one day.
Yes.
Probably Coke will buy a stake in my company, or probably I won't even sell it. I'm going to just move it on to my great grandkids and they'll move it on as well. But at least I'm not going to die and just leave a job or a car or just a house to my children.
Or dead, I wanna ask you about, I mean, like, you touched on a lot of points, you covered a lot of questions that I wanted to get to, but I wanted to say something before I ask you my last question. The work that you do, you know, your education fund, Leadership 2020 as well, it's really, really amazing, and it's necessary, DJ SBU. And I just want to say, because like not many people have got that selflessness of saying, especially like when you're a busy businessman and you kind of like on the roll, you know, going after your goals, but for you to still have time, you and your team, to say we need to do these projects for other people, it's really commendable. But and I want to tell people that they can also check the podcast that you did. I listened to it with Lebogunguluza about drop shipping and how people can start their companies with their mobile phones at home. You can start selling stuff online and making money. I love that, guys. Go check that out on online. But I want to ask you, Braga, quickly for like 2 minutes before we go.
Yeah.
The names that you have on your Morfire products. I'm gonna show people a picture.
Our website.
I'm gonna show people a picture.
Our website, by the way, guys, is morfire.co.za. Just to plug it in, morfire.co.za.
Sure.
Go check it out. We've got new products that are coming. We haven't announced, we haven't launched, but we're definitely launching at the end of this lockdown. We've got some great products. What are those names that you see?
I'm showing people now pictures. Granadilla Slave Queen is the first one. Iron Brew Insim. And then we've got Cocoa Pine Yellow Boat. we've got that's one quickly. Coke Sesh Myanmar. I know. What inspires your South African, you know, inspired names for your products?
What inspires South African names and products for me is, for a lot of people who don't know, words are mathematics. Words are numbers. How our ancestors communicated back then was through telepathy. Everything that happens in a human life is all energy. So we're transmitting a frequency. For me to click into your Zoom link and connect to you and be speaking to you now, for you to call me and directly connect to my phone, that's a frequency. You're speaking to my frequency. That's the same thing with the human body. A human body is electricity. And great inventions, and go research something called quantum physics. There's so much that you can learn about science and just about energy and just about technology that exists that is beyond human comprehension. That is so unfathomable that a lot of people think doesn't exist, and it exists. That's why Elon Musk, some people think is crazy. And that guy wants to quantum leap into space and come back the next day. And the next day when he comes back, 100 years would have passed on Earth. So he would come back and colonize that generation at that time. Guys are thinking on that level, guys. And you've got Jeff Bezos, who's about to be the first trillionaire in the world. So that's where the world is. If you don't understand that you are energy, then you don't understand how the world operates. You don't understand how the laws of nature can work in your favor. And a lot of people don't understand that life doesn't happen to you. Life takes your lead. How does it take your lead? It takes your lead from what you say every day. And what you say every day comes from your mind. And your mind is inspired by the things that you consume on a daily basis. So when I'm focusing on something and working on something and thinking about success and being motivated and using the law of attraction and practicing it, etc., I'm transmitting a certain energy into wanting that success and wanting that feeling of getting there one day to become that person that I want to become. And I'm working on it on a daily basis that it probably might take me 5 years, 10 years, however long it's going to take. But it's an energy that I'm transmitting from me, SBU, into this vision and this dream, and it eventually becomes what it's supposed to become, right? So that's energy. So guys, that's another homework I'm going to give you after quantum physics is go research 0-point energy. What is 0-point energy? 0-point energy, they're basically saying the concept says an energy filled from a cup of coffee can go and electrify or go and energize an entire ocean or oceans just from a cup of coffee. That's basically to summarize what 0-point energy is about. Go do your research about it as well. So everything is all electricity, my brother. So when you're looking at the future, you're looking at the vision, you're looking at where we're going, people need to understand these types of information so they're able to lead themselves, so they're able to understand themselves better, so they're able to understand how great they themselves are. Because I see a lot of people daily, it's like people are just wanting success out there and people are confused where to get success. And I always say to people, success is here. Yes, you always hear different motivational speakers or different successful people say, hey, believe in yourself, you are great. Yes, you are great. That's what they mean, especially Nangabumnyama. If you are melanated, you are even greater than any other race. And this is I don't want to talk the race issue, but you and I, the sun favors us. You've got melanin. That's why you have to absorb the sun. Even if you're on lockdown, keep going to the sun so you can absorb the sun because you operate better in the sun. So you are too great that you can create and you can manifest anything. So that's how I run my life and that's how I connect with people and I do know what you had asked me a certain question. Please remind me. I was trying to drive a certain point.
I just wanted to ask because we are short of time. Ne? If you can ask,
okay, yeah, and we'll wrap it up. Yeah.
Why do you use those names like those names that people relate?
Oh yes. Understanding that life is mathematics, understanding that words are power. Understanding that nangithandaza ngikhuluma nabaphansi ngikhuluma noNkulunkulu mele ngithandaze ngesintu mangikhuluma namadlozi wakithi mele ngikhuluma isintu sakithi kubaleke kakhulu ngoba idlozi lakithi lizongizwa kanjani uma ngithandaza nesilungu kuphela noma ngabe uNkulunkulu ngithandaza kuyena uNkulunkulu abantu abaseduzane kuyena abantu bakithi abantu abaphansi abokhokho bami nabomkhulu bami and ukuthi bangizwa kangcono kungcono uma ngikhuluma i-language abayi-understandayo and i-language iphuma kuma-numbers. So ama-numbers abaluleke kakhulu and that's exactly what I'm doing with naming my products that way. I understand the importance of repetition. And when people see a brand and it builds in their subconscious mind, they interact with it on a daily basis, the long-term effects of it, even with the brainwashing that comes with advertising and PR and marketing, etc., eventually it becomes engraved in those people's heads that they end up not calling a Mofire cola. They call it a Mofire Mnyama.
Yeah.
They don't call it Mofire Orange a Mofire Orange. They call it a Mofire Mzegeze.
Sure.
Because that's the power that they were able to brainwash you and I for us to be, unfortunately, believe less of ourselves and hate each other so much. Those are some of the systems that they've used. And if you can understand that, you can become so great. And that's the reason why I understand the power of words and the power of repetition. That's why I do what I do on all my social media platforms. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Completely. And I really appreciate it. Just before we close, there's one comment sent in by Kahiso Mashego. He says that DJ SBU is a genius. I wasn't much of a reader, but that has changed since I bought his books. My thinking has widened in terms of branding myself and other aspects of music. I am now open-minded in my approach on life as a whole. God bless him. God bless you celebrating this icon, brother. Meaning I think sharp, but there's still other topics tse nka ratang gore in re ire like a part 2, even if it's in a couple of weeks, go bua ka leadership 2020 and the education fund in more of a
Definitely.
broader sense, ne Bragg?
Thank you, my brother. Definitely. I wish you all the best as well. And to every young guy out there, not only musicians, not only people in the entertainment business, anybody that's pursuing anything, this is a great time, guys. We are so blessed. This is a great time. And I even say what's happening in America is a great time. Yes, other people look at it as I think this is a great reset button into making you believe where the world is going, where there's so much awakening happening all over the world, that Black people are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they're getting up. And we want you to be one of us who's sick and tired of being sick and tired. Get up, do something out of your life, do something great. Don't just exist in this world and be what I call a 5W. Wazalwa, wapila, wavele, wadla, wafa. Come on this earth and create some sort of a dent, so that when you're gone, people are able to say, he or she was here. I wish you guys all the best. Press that reset button and bounce back. You can subscribe or register to our leadership2020.co.za. We're building a movement. We've done great since over the years since we started Leadership 2020. We'll be talking about it when I come back with Sir LSG. But in the meantime, go register and find out about the movement on our website. That's www.leadership2020.co.za, and check out my brand new track on all social media platforms, on all digital platforms. It's called Mbambane. And I've got a brand new album dropping on the 4th of September. It's going to be a Friday. May God bless you guys with all your families. I wish you all the best with your hustle. Let's keep working. Let's keep striving for success, because we are great. We are that 0 point energy that I was talking about that's going to power oceans. God bless. Thanks.
God bless you, brother. Let's all be creative, guys, and enjoy your Tuesday. Peace out.